So I did this design experiment of exploring different technology levels for some kind of synthetic glove. And today I want to cover how I did this particular one inside 3D code with a little bit of Photoshop overpaint. Also, I'll show you how to do a more complex version of the glove in the masterclass at IMX. So if you want to check it out, the link is at the top and also in the description. So I'll start with the 3D scan of the hand, which I got from 3D Scan store. And I spent like $300 on that website. I'll put the link in the description if you're curious about it. And here I'm cutting out all the fingers because I want to just have one finger that I will then reuse as my kind of design, and then I will have multiple instances, and I'll just paint on one finger and it will be replicated on other fingers. So I'm just, I got like a shell out of, a shell projection out of the hand using the voxel extrude tool or voxel layer tool, and then I just applied this rubber material, and now I'm just smoothing everything out because I have too much detail. I don't need that much detail on this hand. I just want it to be more like a synthetic glove that goes around the hand. I'm just also I got some artifacts from the vox layer, and I'm trying to smooth out those artifacts, kind of like bending artifacts. So I cut out the index finger, and I didn't cut it out well enough, so I decided to cut it out again. I think I changed the split water voxels at the top. It was at 0, now it's at 1. So what I want to do is I want to create an instance and move it away, and then I want to place it so it will be really easy for me to paint. Just trying to position it all quite well. Okay, so we have it here, and now I can have symmetry right in the middle. I can paint easily from the top projection, so it's all easy peasy. And you can see it, all my change is getting reflected on other fingers, and those fingers I can just scale a little bit, so that I make them a little bigger, a bit smaller, and all the transforms will get transitioned to the instances. So I'm trimming the finger. Here, I'm thinking about this design, so I'll have some kind of LCD screen on top, and I'm trying to find a way to do it. And in this case, I did like a from-side projection. I'm using a transform tool from the side, and I didn't like how it looked, so I decided to go back. Now I'm cutting out the bottom part. I'm doing it more so it doesn't interfere with the work, because it's really easy to forget that they have something at the bottom, and then you paint and then sculpt stuff, and the bottom part will get affected, and then you cannot revert. You have to go to your older save. Using a blob tool to draw a shape, drop and on plane tool. So I'm placing it. I want to place it correctly on the arm. So I have two screens, well, one screen and one kind of like operational unit, a computer or hard drive, who knows. So I smoothed it out a few times, pressing F12 and was my hotkey for smooth all operation. So I'm trying to make it more squarish, so I stretched it along one way. Here I kind of jumped forward a little bit, so I was designing some fingers, did some voxel height on the side, and you can see again, it's a fun thing about it is that you get the projection repeated across all the fingers. The not so fun part is that we do have a seam on the hand, right? So it's not really visible the entry point where the fingers go inside the hand. I'm using a pinch brush, which I really like, and the surface pinch brush. There's a voxel pinch brush and surface pinch brush. So the surface pinch brush is really, really nice for adding some kind of these seams and details. Well, I played with a lot of designs of these particular fingers, and I wanted to have some kind of design done for the one finger, and then I was going to replicate it along the whole hand. It never really happened. In the end, I just had like really basic, just rubberized fingers. You can see here I'm using the voxel height to hide certain parts. Again, to see how it looks and reflects on the whole hand. And here I've drawn some curves with the curve tool. I'm drawing a new curve here. So I'm using it instead of the blob. So I'm using the curve because I can have a nice beveled edge, which now changed with the new 3D code, the latest versions. We now have a edge rounding on the rectangular tool, so you no longer have to deal with the curves, because honestly, curves are a bit of a cumbersome tool, not really easy to deal with. So now I did a blob projection through the curve, so now we have really nice, like rounded corners for the screen. So then I would normally, duplicate it to create a backup screen. And then I smooth it a few times, that screen. So now I have a nice shape that I can, now in this case, I decided to create this integrated part. So I'm combining the glove and this thing, and then I'm combining it all together. So I have this like rubberized case, and using the fill tool to going around and doing a nice kind of rubber enclosure. So then I just applied glossy material to the screen. Now we have a pretty good understanding of the materials used and how it's going to look, more or less. And I've duplicated that square and just stretched it, and it became my like remote control unit, essentially, or battery. It was on the outside. And if you look at my work, I was thinking about these different technological levels. And I was thinking about how, this will be the current level of technology where you have to have a battery, and then we don't have the need for the battery. It will be kind of embedded into the glove. And you can see I reused the battery to create this cord. I just duplicated the battery, moved it, sent it out, and used the move tool to move it around to bend the curve. Really kind of dumb and easy. I just keep moving it around to get the look I like. And now I'm just tidying up the thickness, so moving it, distorted it a little bit. So I'm just thinking if there's a need to separate the cable into multiple cables, and I didn't like how it looked. So making it a bit thinner. So here I decided to have the kind of the outside glove and the inner glove. So I have like a sleeve, and then I have so maybe like a put on, it's like an extra help for you. You have like multiple layers of the synthetic suit. Playing with the materials. And I'm creating an instance of this unit. So I want to have it positioned correctly. So then I can apply symmetry in the horizontal axis, and it's much easier to edit the object if it's correctly aligned. So now I can start doing some cuts, and those cuts will be transferred to the original object. It's actually a really big point outside 3D code, which I really, really like, that you can have these instances for everything, for the sculpting objects. So here I'm thinking about some kind of connection point, or maybe it will be a sensor which has this metallic material, conductive material essentially. I look at that and I didn't like any of that, so I decided to get rid of it. Created this kind of little part that will cover the entry point of the cable. I was thinking there'll be some kind of bump to help you to open that enclosure, but in the end I just kept it pretty simple. I'm just trying to create a cut so there's some kind of entry point for the cable, so it's not looking so strange, like it goes just straight into the mesh, looking really natural. So I'm doing I think I'm using the voxel height. Now I have the opening for the cable to enter. And I was thinking to create some kind of holding bits. So how is this thing attached to the glove? Because right now it's like pretty much that battery just floating in the air. And in fact, so here I'm kind of jumping across. So now I'm painting the bottom of the glove, and I'm painting it using the pinch tool. So, and with that pinch tool, I can create a whole bunch of designs. And moving the lines around to see what I can have. Maybe a seam, like you have it on a winter glove and a leather glove, but nothing really looks good. I'm trying this, thinking about it, what can I do? And it's again one of the things that's really cool. You can try a lot of bad ideas really fast. You can try, nothing works, and in the end, you will have build that experience, that image library in your head, or what's better working for you. So here I'm jumped again, so the fingers got merged with the hand, and now I want to do a little cover for the glove. I had this idea of creating a second layer. I'm using the voxel layer, so I'm just painting the mask using the rectangular tool and projecting it. And I'm creating the code. It should be a voxel layer, not the code. So now I can play around with the materials on the glove. And I thought about, okay, that maybe a bit fake, the way this line just right in the middle on top of the fingers. So I will use the voxel height to cut the tips of the fingers. But I haven't cut it yet. Just just playing around with the materials, trying to see what sticks. And 3D has this pretty cool cloth material which I used. So it was really, and I really like to explore different textures and fabrics, like rubber, cloth, gloss. So you play more this tactile stuff, not so much as just with plain color, but you play with the materials. You play with different roughness, different textures, different patterns. In this case, I'm just using the plastic, of course, but I will change it to be cloth later. You can see here I'm testing out these cloth brushes, cloth materials. I'm testing out a new material, just creating a new shader and playing around with stuff because I like the tint, but then I didn't really proceed with it. So I really like that white cloth which went into the final design. But I try. You can see how many materials I try, just to get an idea what's looking better. And I like the 3D color viewport, right? So it gives you a pretty realistic representation. And I decided to apply some kind of pattern. I applied the pattern at first on the top of the glove, but then I decided to apply that pattern to the bottom of the glove, the bottom part. Here I jumped ahead, so you can see I applied the pattern to the bottom. I also applied the stencil to the cable and colored one of the parts there and duplicated the top layer, put it down and changed the color to red. So now I had this nice kind of borderline of red. And I'm getting little buttons around on the main block. And you can see I have this dotted line, but I didn't really like that pattern in the end, so I changed the pattern to like a different shape. So I think I'm changing it right now. And I tried again. I tried a whole bunch of patterns, and I press Control. I tried the negative, and this is it. This was the one I decided to go with. I just changed the scale, made it a bit smaller. And I applied the pattern just to kind of one part of the bottom glove, so it's not all over the place. And I guess I have this backup copies of different patterns, which I do one pattern, hide it, make a new one. And this was another idea when I decided to go just with black rubber on top of black rubber. And I had this, I like the look as well, but in the end it looked too much like a wetsuit, like a diving suit. So I decided not to proceed with it. I did some final fix in Photoshop. For one thing, I just added like a big letter T, and then also painted this rubber parts that go inside the glove in Photoshop, and overlaid the UI. It comes from my friend, the good friend Evgeny Rodygin. He was a designer on Second Avatar, so check out the link in the top and in the description. You can check out his portfolio. He's doing some awesome work. And here I have some color correction with color lookup table. Then I have the unsharp mask to add a bit more sharpness. And if I go into the smart object, we can check out the overlay, just really easy Photoshop overlay of the UI element. Then the paint over those little guys, and then letter T. And I also actually added the shadow here, because the shadow wasn't happening like that inside 3D code, so I decided to go and actually add a shadow, which made it look a little bit nicer. All right, guys, so thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.